Hi everyone, I hope everyone can hear me. Thank you for joining the webinar. We're going to start now. I'm David González, and you may already hear my voice in the Mistika VR tutorials. I've been working as a freelance with the Mistika Ultima, the full version of this tool set, for a long time, doing color grading, VFX, stereo 3D for more than 10 years, I believe. And now I'm jumping into VR and trying to help with the development of the tools. So I'm going to try to explain you all the new stuff that we have in the new version of the beta, and as well go through some of the problems that you've been finding in the software. So let's start. What is new in the new version? For sure, we've been fixing bugs, but we're going to show you the new features. We added new resolutions, 6K, 12K, and 16K that were missing from the previous version. We added new presets for SetCam or iSugar Set4 XL, also for the Kodak Pix Pro and the GoPro Omni. We added the grid overlay that everyone was asking for, so that now is much simpler to align the horizon. We also added the convergence parameter to be able to define our hero distance in which we want our switch to be perfect. And we simplify the way we calibrate the offsets of the lenses. I'm just going to run through the features and then I'll show you in deep what I mean with them. So new presets for iSugar, Kodak, SetCam, and GoPro Omni, and also we renamed the GoPro Cube as GoPro Freedom 360, which actually was the rig it was created with. Then I'm going to answer some specific questions we had on the Facebook group, which has been extremely helpful. Thank you guys for all the input that you're giving us. So I'm going to teach Samsung shot. I'm going to show you how to work with image sequence so that you can do your time lapses in Mistika VR. We're going to test the SetCam preset, and I'm going to explain a bit some of the parameters of the optical flow that in some cases will give you better results. And for sure, really important, we're going to have questions and answers, so keep all the questions ready to be fired at the end of the webinar. So let's move straight to Mistika VR. I already have one clip loaded. This is a Samsung Gear clip. And what I'm going to show you first is the grid tool. So in here we have a new icon. If I just click on it, we overlay a grid. Not a groundbreaking idea, but it's something that we needed. And now we can just with Control and click realign the horizon and check that everything is perfectly aligned. The second parameter that the second feature that I can show you is if we go into the VR view mode. Now understand that we don't have optical flow activated, so we can see double images in some parts. If I change the feather, you see what I mean. So on that area we have a double image on that area here on the rock. Now on the center of the screen, that rock there also have some double image. So with the convergence parameter, just by dragging it, we're gonna decide what's the important part of the image to fix. We cannot converge on two different distances at once, so we're gonna choose our hero distance. For me, it's gonna be this rock, and then let optical flow do its work by warping all the other areas. That is an easier way to change the disparity on the cameras. I'm gonna move into loading one of the new presets. So just by going into the Windows Media Browser, into my media folder, I can load the footage. I want to thank everyone that shared some footage with us. I may not be able to use all of it in this webinar, but I'm sure I will use it in the future. So thanks. I'm gonna load Jamie Spence from Video Bread footage shot with a set cam. Just drag it in and straight away go right click and load the preset for the set cam. Open, and that's the how the preset is seeing the image. And there are a few things I can show you here. What we've been doing right now until the moment is just going to improve alignment and pray for the software to improve it and to match it perfectly. But there is a really important thing that we have to do before improving alignment on all these kind of rigs. We need to crop the images and align the optical center of the lens with the CCD. So we have created a tool to make that process much easier. If we activate this icon, which will show me one input only, I can go, let me reload. I can click on one camera and I will see the crop overlay. The crop radius is here on the circle mask, or I can alt and drag on the interface. So the idea of this is to run through all the different cameras, just aligning the circle to match the lens. It doesn't need to be perfectly matching the black area. I usually like to have it a bit smaller because it's easier for me when it's on the center. So then now that that is centered, I can go into the next one. Next one again and drag it. You can see that when we drag, the offset X and offset Y parameters are being updated as I drag, which is what we want to do. So once I finished with the 4 lenses, I can go out of this mode, and we see that the stitches are still not fixed, but we can improve alignment and we will get a better result now. Remember that you can do improve alignment several times. It will try to improve even more and more, and you will get into a situation in which the improve alignment doesn't change the image. So if I press a bit more, it doesn't, there's a slight change, but it doesn't improve the image anymore. It doesn't find any better positions. So before we weren't able to match the top of the frame. Now with the optical centers, or by calibrating the lenses, we are able to produce, without any optical flow, a much better stitch. This is really important. Optical flow will help you, but it won't do magic. You need to provide Mistika VR with a really good stitching, and then leave optical flow to adjust the last pixels. If optical flow is pushing too much and the pixels are too separate from each other, it will create artifacts. I can move into optical flow parameters now. I'm gonna try to load a different shot for this, just so that we see some nice images that the people have shared with us. So I'm gonna load Fred BM clips. This is a really nice exterior shot. Just drag it in, again go into load preset and load the set cam. Once it's loaded, we follow the same process. So I'm gonna go into calibration mode, select camera 1 and start dragging the center, so that you can see how the process is done in different situations. Is really quick. Okay, get out of the calibration mode, move somewhere else in which Fred is in the frame. I assume you are here, Fred. So now that when we are on a reference frame, we can choose to improve the alignment. One time, second time, see if it improves a bit more. We can now load our grid and maybe do that. We still have our aligning tool, which pops up with Alt and click. So I can check that my tree is straight. And then I'm gonna talk to you about the optical flow parameters. So on this panel here, there are 3 parameters I'm gonna explain you, which are the range, the iterations, and the smoothness. I hardly ever change mean level and levels, and I'm pretty sure this at some point may disappear from the software because there isn't much to do with these parameters. So from the first one, the range will be a limit to how far the pixels that optical flow is going to stretch. So if let me explain that with a practical case. So we go into let's see that rock, for example. I'm going to increase the feather so that the optical flow range is bigger. We have a list with small, medium, large, larger, and even larger. So none will mean there is no limit. So it will search for the pixels in the 2 different cameras everywhere. A small expects a small separation between pixels, like the one we have here. When I say separation is, you know, that's a longer separation between the pixels that is going to work. So if I push it too much, just by forcing it and activate optical flow, there is a point in which the small will break. I think it's already breaking, and it won't find the pixels because the separation between these pixels is out of the range that we are defining here. If the separation is bigger, we can go into medium or large or even larger. You can see that when I change from medium to small, that part is fixed. So small, medium, that part is fixed. When I change to large, then here at the bottom we have a better solution. So that's mainly what it does. It doesn't mean that even larger will always give you the best solution. A small will work for a smaller depth, for smaller parallax, medium for medium. So you may want to compare them in every particular situation. There is not a rule, a golden rule that will give you the best solution. The second parameter is iterations, and iterations is actually the number of times that Mistika VR will try to improve the solution. And now I say here, everyone will try to jump and put 1,000 iterations so that we will have a better result, but it doesn't actually work that way. The best improvements that we found is when we're going from 1 to 10 iterations. From 10 to 25 we still see differences. In some shots you may want to go to 50 or maybe 100. You can try yourself, but this parameter has a direct impact in rendering time because it will actually process the image 25 times or 50 times or 100 times. So then this doesn't mean that 500 iterations will give you a better result always. Then the next parameter is the smoothness, and the smoothness has a relationship with the detail that the system is gonna try to match. Again, if we put it into 0, it will try to match all the detail that it can, so the optical flow will be much more detailed, but it also can create much more artifacts. We found out that around 10 is a good number to have in optical flow. I recommend you play a bit, and you can have different shots, even shot with the same rig, because this is all related with the content of the image. So play with the range, play with the iterations and the smoothness. Don't go too crazy on the numbers. I'm pretty sure if you try 800 iterations, you won't see many difference between 100 and 800. So just try for yourself and see how you can get a better optical flow. We can move now into loading image sequences. So for that, again, I can open my VR Media folder, go to Omni, and thanks to Christian from New Horizons VR, we have some time-lapse that was shot a couple of weeks ago in the Open Madrid tennis. So in this case, we need to navigate into the folders and just drag one of the JPEGs, and it will load the whole sequence. So now we go into camera 2 and drag it here. If we drag it again to the storyboard, it will create a new shot, but in this case we want to add to the actual shot. So go to camera 3, drag it, go to camera 4, go to camera 5, and camera 6. Once the image sequences are in the software, they behave as any other stage. So I can load a preset from the Omni, which is a new preset as well, and go to a reference frame to do my match color and match geometry. Match color and improve alignment. We can see that we have some mismatches there, so I'm just gonna hit positions, improve alignment, and hope that it will match it. Okay, so now it's improved it a lot. I can go out, maybe remove all the overlays and hit play. So that's the simple way to work with image sequences. Then after that you can export it to any flavor that you want, all of the actual ones that we have. Some other things, let me go back to the panel, working with image sequence, optical flow, set cam. Let me see if we found, we're gonna talk about creating your own presets, like standard presets for your rigs, that then you can do the color matching and the improved alignment after that is done. So the idea of the presets is that you don't input this kind of numbers like 41.997. You will give Mistika the angles that you're using on your rig, and then you will create, let's try to find a shot and explain it on the go. So if we go to another shot from New Horizons, if we want to do this rig, the first thing we will have to do again is to go into the calibration interface, alt and drag, so that we have that. This is really important, that the results without calibration and with calibration are extremely different. So make sure you calibrate your lenses properly. So now I can hide all the cameras but the cameras 2 and 3 and go out here. I want to rotate it, (90 degrees). If you click shift on the top arrow key, you will jump in between 10 numbers. So now I can slide one to one side, and I know the set cam places the cameras in 90 degrees angles, so I just need to roll it 90 and displace it 180, roll it 90 and displace it by 270. So if I do that now, I have them all. Then we need to guess the lens that they're using. We can just drag there, This will give us an approximation, but the important thing when you're saving a preset is that the parameters have to be sort of square so that it is valid for all the different rigs that have been manufactured in the same way. If you own your own camera rig, you can always save it with the improved alignment and all the offsets and everything like a preset for that particular device. Then once you are happy with your alignment, you may want to go as well into distortion and add some distortion correction. This is hard to guess, distortion. You may need to find room with square lines or something like that and play with the distortion parameters. And once you're happy with how your stitch is looking, you can just right click and save the preset. This is a good place to try the new horizon alignment. Actually, we're gonna try, this is a tricky shot because of the depth, the different depths that we have on the scene. We are less than a meter away from all the borders of the car, and then we have things that are really far away. So I'm gonna try to stitch it using the setcam preset. I'm gonna load it again and load the preset. Setcam, open. It's upside down, so I can just go to the to the roll parameter and type in 180. Whenever you want to clean these parameters, you don't want to have this roll anymore. You can always go to positions and bake in the output camera. This will translate these parameters into the that's a refresh issue. This will translate these parameters into the cameras itself, which is handy in some situations. I'll show you in a minute in which kind of situations I'm talking about. Again, let's calibrate the rig. Click on camera 1, make the circle a bit bigger with Alt and click. Again, there. Very quick, and we move that. Now we can try improve alignment a couple of times. Let's maybe move to a different frame. Realign it. So whenever improve alignment doesn't give us the result that we want, we can always help him. So I can take camera 4, I see the Ferrari logo is misplaced. I can take camera 4 and just move the jaw to the left because I know the camera belongs to the left. I can see a hard edge here. I can take camera 2 as well and help him by bringing it there so that the trees are matching, and maybe improve alignment again. So if you get the cameras closer to where they should be, improve alignment will work in a better way. And after you've done all of that, you can still, if I want to focus on the brand, because this is a branded content, I want that brand to be perfect. I want to place it there. Now we can align the horizon. Let's move there, for example. And in this case, I'm not going to use the grid itself. I'm going to use the tool that we had before. Let's try to find a good spot for alignment. Okay. In here, if we go to the lamp post, I can just Alt and click until it's straight. And then you need to remember where the second line was. That was here on the left. So I can now go here and try to straighten this one. And again, repeat on the other one. and it will go with a couple of 3 iterations. We can have it perfectly straight. That's the way this tool works. You can also use the grid alignment to check it, but in this situation the grid will be not really helpful. It's better to use the Alt and drag tool. And after that we activate the optical flow and see how that works. I've been chatting with some people over on Facebook, saying mainly with this kind of situations in which we are in a tight space, but with windows in which we see objects that are really far away. And Mistika VR will help you get your stitch in a faster way or easier, but it won't remove the need in sometimes to do some compositing. In here we have a huge separation between this part of the car, which may be a bit less than 1 meter away, and then we have that palm tree that may be 500 meters away. It's really hard to Mistika to guess where the pixels should go, so that in that position we may need to do some compositing and some cleanup of the stitch once it's out of Mistika VR. I think there was a question as well about stitching Samsung Gear footage. That's, again, we have a preset for it, so you can just load whatever clip you want, drag it in, and load the Samsung Gear preset. Once you load it, Mistika will automatically duplicate the clips and give you a good starting point. You can show the feather, maybe match by converging on that area, and activate optical flow. But it's as simple as that. Just load the footage and load the preset into it, and you should be good to go. I think I've covered everything that I planned to cover. If you have any questions, I would love to solve all of them. If you have too many, we may need to go into Facebook and solve them there, but please ask any of the questions that you want to, and I'm happy to answer. So someone is asking if we should keep the circle mask the same for each cameras. If you're using the one rig with the same lenses, I don't see the problem of keeping them equal for all the cameras. This is an approximation, and you have enough overlap on the camera so that if you remove a couple of pixels more or less, you will cover that with the overlap. So I would say you can keep the same crop on it. Okay, there's another questions about project size and frames per second. Just remembered I haven't shown you the new resolutions as well, so I'm gonna load the project manager and I can go into project settings in here. And the good thing about this is that you are not forced to work in one single resolution or one single frame rate. You can modify the settings of your project at any point. In this case, I'm working in 2K, so that this can go up and this can run a bit faster. But at any point, even keeping all these parameters, I can change to 8K, reset, restart the system, and then this project will become 8K. Also, for the frames per second, at the moment, the frame rate defines the output frame rate as well. So you need to match it with what you shot on. If you shot on 5994, you need to match the frame rate of your project with your shooting. It's really important for syncing. So if you are in a different frame rate than the source frame rate, the sync won't work properly. Make sure you are working on the same frame rate of your project. How I usually organize myself is I can create different timelines. I'm not going to change that, but I can save this and I know that this is version 1 and these are the shots that are 60 frames per second. Or you can create right now several projects with different settings for each of them. We will work into making that easier for you guys. Let's read some more questions. When are we releasing the new version? Really soon. We are already testing it. I'm working with it already. It's pretty stable. So it may be released today, tomorrow. I don't have the exact date, but it will be really, really soon. Let me go to the next one. Great tutorial, thanks. When is the new beta being released? Okay, love the new calibration feature, much easier than existing guidelines. Great, thank you. What kind of sharpening tools do you provide? If none, is it a fair request? Mistika VR is designed to do the stitching itself. As you know, SGO has different tools. It has Mamba, it has Mistika Ultima, which are the full-blown parts of Mistika in which you have all the tools. At the moment, we're focusing into making the stitch perfect, and then all the sharpening and all the color grading and all the stuff that you wouldn't do on top of your stitching, it has to go to a different software right now at the moment. Once we have the perfect stitching tool, we may be able to go into more advanced techniques for improving your shots. Let me find another question. How would you replace the nadir with a different photo? We cannot do that at the moment in Mistika VR. So you will have to do it in your online software, maybe Premiere, After Effects, or whatever software you are using for doing your online. GPU RAM 2 GB for 6K. It should. But you will have to test it. It depends on many different things. How much optical flow you are applying depends on the complexity of your shot. It should be enough. Cloning and patching abilities, can we remove like the monopod with this software? Not at the moment. So that's the same as replacing the nadir with a picture. Batch exports, I was reading the forums this morning, and I heard that we had a bug when we are exporting all shots in this way. So I hope that is fixed quickly, and you can get the fix in the new release already. Can we control output resolutions? We control output resolutions with the project settings. That's the only way to control output resolutions right now. How can we sync when audio is not there or good visually? So it's a bit of a pain right now, but you can just go frame by frame, clicking in the offset panel and trying to sync it. I will, if you are editing the software, editing somewhere else, I sometimes sync it in my editing software and just copy the frames, the frame offsets in here. Next. Okay. I can export all scenes together, so that may be the bug that we were talking about. I hope we can get it fixed really quickly. There's a really good question here, which is if the improve alignment can improve more when you tap it again, why not automatically run it multiple times after first click? Can it automatically know when it's converged to a good result? Clicking endless on the improve alignment won't always fix the shot. In some occasions in which complexity, maybe the distance or the objects are in the frame are not easily recognizable, it can break the image. So that's the reason we constrain the improve alignment to the to a few. Actually, when you click on it, it tries already. I believe I was told that it tries 5 times. We could change that whenever we feel that clicking 2 times in improve alignment works better for almost every situation. We can update that behavior if you feel that. We can do that at the end of the beta month when everyone has tried and we are sure that the number of improve alignments is correct. There's a question about why sometimes after color calibration it changes when you hit play with spacebar and also changes again with stop key. That may be a refresh bug. If you are able to replicate that, please post it in the SGO forum because we want to hunt all the bugs and get them fixed as soon as possible for you guys. Last 2 questions. There are 2 really good questions already on the lists. Can we keyframe motion of the camera so that we can keep orientation in the center? So stabilization is not there. Is on our list of to-dos. And the undo is already undo. So going back in time is already in our list of things. It will come at some point. Currently, we have to use PTGUI as that our only option. Can we use, say, AutoPanoGiga? We don't provide the tool for importing AutoPanoGiga. Then there will need to be some development in put into that. And if you believe that software is the one to use, we can surely try to import the projects from AutoPanoGiga. I'm not sure if I'm running too quick on the questions or if we're getting I've already done all of them. Giga is pretty popular, I hear. Yes, I know Giga is pretty popular. The first time we used PTGUI, but we can look into AutoPanoGiga. That would be a feature request and it will be considered by the developers. If you have any other questions, I'm gonna wait here for a minute or 2. Okay, it seems that we are finished. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I will prepare really soon some tutorials with the new tool so that you can understand how to use the calibration tools, the grid tool, or the convergence, and I hope we can run many webinars like this and that you can assist to them. So thank you very much. We have one more question, sorry. Will the beta no longer be usable until the full release? I'm not fully understanding that. The way it works is we're gonna be in beta for the time in which we are fixing all the bugs, which was planned to be a month at the beginning, and then we will go into release mode. The only difference is that the beta has a code so that you can try it for free. After beta, you will need to subscribe to the software, but you could run all the same projects and continue working with the software as usual. Why would you ever change output camera focal length? Sometimes you want to extract something, so if you change the mapping, actually the focal length on the mapping, on the lat long mapping, doesn't do anything. But if you change it to planar rectilinear, you can actually change the focal length. You need to understand that this tool is fully compatible with Mistika Ultima, which is the full online color grading and finishing tool with capabilities of compositing, stereo 3D. So there are tools in here that fall in here that are more meant to be used when doing compositing or things like that in Mistika Ultima. What will happen? Maybe sync, maybe a future sync with movement. We put that on our list and see how we can do that. Just deeper on the understanding of it's nice. Is there a way to get set one preset for the old version of Mistika VR? I think I already posted a set one preset in the forums, in the SEO forums. In any case, the new release of the software still works with the same license, so you will be able to just download and update your version without any problems, and you will have the new presets on that version. How far away are we from stereo support? I don't know. I need to ask the developers, but stereo, doing bad stereo is really easy. We can see that on some other softwares. We want to deliver perfect stereo, so we will do that as soon as we can, but we need to make sure that we deliver great stereo. Can you talk a touch about how optical flow works? I don't know if you missed the part in which I explained the parameters, but the optical flow, what it does is it compares two separate images, and it tries to find the same pixel in image A and image B and put that pixel in the same position. That's mainly what optical flow does in this particular opinion. Optical flow is an image analysis tool. It can have some issues because at the end it's a computer trying to understand an image. We humans understand images much better than computers. So yeah, that's what optical flow does actually. Stereo will be a feature, yes. Someone is asking if stereo will be a future feature, and yes, we are gonna deliver stereo at some point. Well, we don't have plans right now for making it a plugin. If we see an opportunity, I can propose it to the company and to the developers and see how we can work on that. But right now there is no plan on making a plugin for it. There's someone also asking, can we force like on a grid help it out with a warp? So I think you are asking about warping manually a camera with a grid warp. We cannot do it in here right now. We try to solve the situations with optical flow. I know in some cases it's useful to have the grid, but in my opinion, if you match perfectly the focal length, the distortion, which is extremely important to match the distortion, you can use PTGui is really good at guessing the distortion. So you can use PTGui to create your templates, and I'm pretty sure it will be easier to do it the way we do it right now with optical flow than to include a warp grid on the software. But if this is a request that everyone else likes, I'm pretty happy to put that request into the SGO list. Okay, second time I say goodbye. Thank you very much. The questions have been, oh, It's going to be a third time I say goodbye. One more question. There is any kind of scripting language in Mistika VR, like Python, to automate some tasks? There is no scripting, there is no SDK for Mistika VR, and you cannot put scripts in Mistika VR. But if you go to the, so if I go into saving just to copy the path, this is an easy way to get the paths for your projects. I close it and then I paste it on my browser. If we go to the project folder and I save the project, actually save as 1 or A. So now I have an AVRM. Mistika is extremely open, so if you edit this with a notepad and if you it's not that difficult to understand, we may need to look into explaining this a bit more. You have, this is your timeline actually. Here is where your brushes are, and all the parameters that you can see in here are openly written in here. So Mistika integration in complex workflows is really good, and Mistika VR also has that. So there is no scripting in Python directly into Mistika, but you can create timelines and you can change the parameters if you run scripts to modify the timelines themselves. Can I set up a render queue? Right now the only way to do render queues is by going to File, Export, and export all shots on your current timeline. I know this collapses with having different frame rates and things like that, so that we don't have a queue, we have some sort of queued render, but we will look into providing a queue at some point. That's already some things that we're thinking about. We don't know if that's gonna end up being in Mistika VR or not. We need to think about that. And there's another question, which is this afternoon webinar will be the same content or any different? The content will be the same, but the good thing about these webinars is that the people that assist to them and all the questions that you're throwing at me, so the questions will be different and we may have different answers. But the content itself, it's going to be explaining the same thing that I did today. One other question, any chance for an S-curve Luma curve? We can talk with the developers about that. There hasn't been an idea. All these questions that I have here, I'm going to try to log them, but if you have feature requests, all of them can go into the SGO forum. Just go to sgo.s/forums and you can log all your feature requests and then they will be evaluated to be added into the software. The recording will be uploaded as soon as possible. Okay, I don't know what this means. Setcam will be providing a curve very soon. Does it mean that their stitching software will do an S-curve? Okay, if we have that feature, we can evaluate it. We want to evaluate all the feature requests that are really important for our customers, because oh, so you, okay. There's someone, sorry, I cannot see your names of the people that is throwing me the questions. I only see that from our organizer. Someone is saying that, okay, Nick is saying that Setcam will provide a lot for the camera very soon. So that's really good to know. Thank you. So thank you very much for joining the webinar. I hope I could resolve many of the questions. Please keep up giving us all your feedback that you can. Any idea is a good idea, so please send it to us. We will do our best to accommodate all the features that you need to create good stitching. And yeah, see you in the next one.